They're telling it like it is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We're a purpose before profit group that love giving back and helping entrepreneurs. I would like to give a shout out to our event that's coming up with us and collectively Tangled. It's called Thriving Minds Empowering Entrepreneurs. We've been giving 7 courses that will be free to entrepreneurs to work on your mental wellness, to work on anything that involves you and business. The first course is September 21st. We will have more information coming out soon, but it is very, very exciting partnering with the University of Calgary, the Platform Calgary, CIC, Innovate Calgary. It's going to be a great, great course. So stay tuned for more. And speaking of great companies and things that are going on and helping, and that continuous storyline that we're going to be having for the next few weeks, we have Cindy Sim, the founder of CarePal, with us. Cindy, how are you today?
I am doing fabulous, Jade. How are you?
Well, I can't complain. It's a great Wednesday. It's off to a great start. I'm going to have another wonderful conversation with a fantastic founder. So, I mean, how can the day get any better?
Right?
Exactly. Right. And now we talked a little hockey, and now you're Oiler fans, and we found out your exit strategy is just having enough to buy your dad tickets. So we're ready to go.
That is so totally true. If you see me at the hockey game, I've totally made it.
I love those stories. Everybody has a different reason to sell their business, and now that's the first one I've ever said for Oilers tickets.
There you go. So if the Oilers are listening,
Yes, buy my company. All I need is free tickets. Oh no, all joking aside, I mean, I really do love your story and passion for obviously giving back and making that life easier. So why don't you share your story with us?
yeah, Jade. So I am the CEO of Team CarePal. We built Team CarePal. It is a mobile app to help family caregivers. And when I say caregivers, you really have to understand these are the unpaid family members who are looking after a loved one. And they provide 75% of the day to day care in our communities right now. In fact, they are literally the glue that holds the healthcare system together, and their mental health and well being is suffering. So, Team CarePal was brought on because of my caregiving journey. I had different journeys throughout my life, and it's not over with my aging parents. So, my one of my journeys was, with my mom when she had her knee replacement. That brought on a lot of different challenges because she was a nurse, and they are the worst patients. She thought she had it all in the bag. She was going to fly through it with no problems. She had all these expectations, and then when she realized how hard it was on her body, how exhausted she was, it really hit her mental health. So not only was, I looking after like her medication and mobility support and all those things, the mental health really came into play, and she hit a really low point. And then it affected me. And I remember one day, Jade, I went out across the yard into my parents' driveway, and I just hid between two vehicles, and I cried because it was so heavy. And then, I spent a lot of time in the other parts of my journey with at the end of life stage for my grandparents and my aunt who passed away from breast cancer far too young. And that was a whole different set of caregiving responsibilities from, managing, that care at the bedside to updating family and really understanding the process at the end of life. I don't think a lot of people really plan for that. And that can be emotional and very traumatic if you don't. And then, after that, after realizing, that I was a caregiver through all of these, I realized looking back that I was also a caregiver to my daughter who was born premature, quite young. I was a young caregiver back then, and I didn't know there was supports. In all these instances, I had no idea that I was a caregiver. I had no idea that I could go ask for help or that there was help, out there. And with my daughter, it was that financial burden. There was travel involved. We were in the hospitals for months and months. I remember being hungry through a lot of it because I didn't have, money to eat. And, I would bathe in hospital bathrooms, like just randomly, just to, it was just so. And I hit like a really a low point at that time too. Postpartum depression really set in. And so, looking back at all these caregiving journeys, at the end of life care, especially, I kept saying to my husband, there's got to be more. We got to support these caregivers more. Like, how are we not? How are we not? And so, when the pandemic hit, my husband walked in to the room and he said, Cindy, now is the time. If you're going to build this app you keep talking about, now is the time. They need your help. And so I rolled up my sleeves and I got to work. And yeah, so we really, focused on all the needs that caregivers had, from, the social supports. They can download our app and invite all their friends and family for free. There's a social feed, that looks and feels like Facebook, where they can keep all their friends and family updated. We have a beautiful calendar feature. They can put all their events in there. They can put some beautiful appointments. Caregivers can manage all their appointments in there. There's task lists that they can add in there for their friends and families to help out with. There's beautiful caregiver journal for caregivers. They can record their doctor visits, upload documents, collaborate, note taking, all those things. And the most biggest thing that we're about to release here recently, because one of the biggest things about caregivers is they don't know where to go for help. And it is so overwhelming to navigate the healthcare system. They don't know what's out there. A lot of them are not getting the respite they need. I mean, these are caregivers that have gone years without a break. And so we're building an AI navigation bot, that is going to streamline resources right into the hands of caregivers based on where they are and what they're going through. No more guessing, no more searching. We're just going to deliver it. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, and that is such a, inspirational story on how it starts and how you move forward, as an entrepreneur, and some of the inspiration behind, all the stories that I've heard, and especially yours. So when you started thinking, your husband comes to you and says, "Hey, now's the time," like, was it like that light bulb? Was that all it took? And just saying, and then how was your next steps? Like, how did you come up with those, all those, the attributes that you have in your app? Did you go out there and talk to some nurses? Did you talk to your mom? Did you, like, how did you say, well, we need this, and decide that all this needed to be in your product?
Yeah, good question. Wow, was it a journey? At that time when my husband came in, I was actually, in university because I was going through my empty nest phase, which I didn't take very well. I love my babies and I'm so sad they're grown. So I was going into my next phase of my life being like, what am I going to do with myself? Right. And so I had gone back to university for business management, marketing, all those things. And when he had said this, we were all locked up because of the pandemic. And so, I started talking to my professors in my courses and I was like, can I use this as a pseudo company, for some of my projects? Because I'm going to start building out a business plan. And I got to work just, doing a competitor analysis was the first thing, was just going out there, finding out what it was people were using right now. What technologies were they using to solve this problem? And so we built out an MVP at the beginning of 2021 and I took it to market. 2021 was my year to go to caregivers and learn everything it was that they were doing. And it turns out, Jade, I had it wrong. Um, not all the features wrong, but just
No.
based on kind of what I had thought, I definitely did have some features wrong, and we learned so much about caregivers that year. I did a lot of crying with them. It was really, really hard to read what they were going through. But then we did learn at that point, that caregivers were using on average like 7 to 14 different tools to manage their caregiving role. They were very segmented and there was no room for collaboration and bringing the families together. And so after all that, we went back to the drawing board and completely redid our MVP. And yeah, and that's what care it is now. I mean, Team CarePal was really co-designed by caregivers.
When you say you got it wrong, how I just want to touch on that for a little bit, right? Because I think that's such an important part of the journey, and what you think as a founder should be there compared to what they actually use. So how shocked were you, I guess, during that process?
I wasn't so much shocked as I was just made aware. So, when I had created Team CarePal originally, it was more of a palliative care app, believe it or not, because it was kind of coming from that end of life stage. And so a lot of the features in there were more focused on that kind of end of life journey for caregivers. And so when I actually went out to caregivers and we talked to all different kinds, those looking after someone with a disability, aging needs, illness, when we talked to the vast majority of them, we realized at that point that Team CarePal couldn't just focus solely on the end of life. We had to focus on the whole caregiving journey in its entirety, and we had to be very agile. We had to create a product that fit for everybody and all different types of families. And so, it was just really being made aware that the problem was a lot bigger than what I anticipated, and we just really need to go back to the drawing board and focus on all that sort of picture.
And did that set you back any time, or was it just more of a reality check?
Absolutely. No, it's set back time. Yeah, it's and me being ignorant, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to produce a product, this business, I'm going to launch in a year, it's going to be amazing. No, that is so not the case. I am so yeah, like a year is nothing now in my mind. Like it's a year goes by in a blink of an eye. So it did set us back definitely. But through that journey, a lot of times I'd be like, oh my goodness, that set us back, that set us back. But at the same time, it also made us stronger. It gave us time to really reflect and understand and learn more and talk to more stakeholders. And in my opinion, taking that long to validate those beginning stages and redo, just enabled us to build a strong foundation.
And I know I'm going to touch on a little bit of a sour point here. You know what's coming, but I mean, and again, as there's lots of I love the inspiration that we have, that we talk about through the stories and your stories, and there's always some trials and tribulations. And in your case, it was we're not going to drop any names here or anything, but we can, the people that helped you out of it with SEP and Corridor and things like that, we'll get there. But I love, I want people to understand that by no means do you go into something thinking that it's not going to work out. And when you worked with your first tech company there, it ended up just being, well, we'll just call it a nightmare. And why don't you kind of walk through that process of how it turned bad, why it turned bad, how you couldn't get out, and then I mean obviously and how Corridor was able to get you through that stage.
Oh, that was a nightmare. I did a lot of crying that summer too. As an entrepreneur, I feel like I've cried a lot. Yeah, we went into it and I thought I had done my due diligence too, Jade. I interviewed different tech companies. I really wanted them to understand the mission and vision behind what I wanted to build. That was really important to me. And I thought I did good. I really did. And then we jumped in with them with our first tech, app developers. And yeah, I didn't know at that time that there was different types of app development either, coming out on the market as well. Our market is very fluid and there's always new solutions coming out. So I went with, what I thought was best, and, they fit in a lot of ways. And my biggest regret there was probably the contract, making the milestones and payments to that app developer according to what I needed,
Yeah.
walking in there being a new company, brand new to the game. I should have pushed harder. I don't know. I should have done more, I guess. We were tied into a contract. We spent a lot of money. There was no deliverables. It was awful. There were so many pain points. This company had gone through, like, I don't know how many project managers, so we kept getting left to the wayside, and money was going out, and progress wasn't being made, and I was in tears. Yeah, you can talk to my mentor at that time, Alan Wayne. He kept me together through a lot of it. We just took it day by day, and then luckily, my amazing chief product officer, Paisley Churchill, she had gone to a course because she's out there, keeping tabs on what's new technologies coming to the scene, and she, went to this course with Corridor, our app developers now, and she came to me right afterwards, and she was like, "Cindy, this is it. Like, we need these guys. This is our way to the market." And I was like, "Oh, Paisley," because at this point, I didn't even trust my own thoughts
Yeah.
anymore. I'm like, I thought these guys were it. And you're telling me, and like we've already invested. Like, what if we leave and we lose all this money? And are they going to let us out of the contract? And so luckily too, we had Denton's, our lawyers, who really helped us navigate getting out of that contract with as minimal damage as possible, minimal still being, tens of thousands of dollars later. And then Corridor just they saved us. Like they are agile, they're quick, they're everything a startup needs to be when it comes to software development.
And I mean, so we do have a happy ending to the story, thank goodness.
Yes,
and,
yes.
and and again, I think it's, it is, something that we, I don't like pointing out, but I think it's very important to talk about for entrepreneurs that are listening, that, when you think that you've done enough due diligence, maybe do a little bit more. Maybe talk to your lawyer and have an out clause after X amount of months. That whatever makes you feel comfortable as a founder, you got to look out for yourself first, right? You got to
Yeah,
make sure you protect yourself first, because in the end, this is not the first story I've heard about, developers and people literally getting screwed out of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, and in one case, almost $100,000, and not even getting an MVP. So, I mean, it's something that, if you are in doubt, go out there, reach out, ask somebody, ask a mentor, ask somebody at Platform, Edmonton Unlimited, wherever you think. Like, make sure that you do, get a second set of eyes on something when you're making a decision like this.
absolutely. Talk to as many people as you can, other people that have developed, legal, get much legal advice. Like I cannot stress that enough. Talk
No,
to me, call
absolutely.
me.
Okay, exactly. We call Cindy. Here we go. But I mean, and even in the end, I mean, it's something for us as ecosystem helpers and things like that, that I love knowing, because I do not want to make a recommendation into something. And because of, your story, when we met, many months ago in Edmonton, and sat down, and I've gotten to know Sep and Corridor, and they really have that kind of like the same mentality as us, that purpose before profit. They've helped a gentleman out for us that was tied up, spent a lot of money, in very similar situation as yourself, and didn't charge him what they probably should charge him,
Yeah,
because he does understand. And again, little things like that go a long way, for me and our entire peer guidance team, to say, yes, we trust you. We will have people bang on your doors, because we believe in you, and we've seen you actually, talk about, to walk the walk, so to say.
absolutely. 100%, Jade.
So now that you've got all your tech straightened out and everything is good to go, and what was your steps after that? Like, how,
Yeah.
was there less crying, so to say, and was there more, it's time to run, and then how do you proceed from there?
Oh gosh, yeah, less crying, more overwhelm as an entrepreneur. So yeah, after we built our MVP, we are talking to all our partnerships and collaborators, and we're talking like, 1 in 4 Canadians right now is a caregiver. So the touch points of a caregiver is massive. We are talking long-term care homes, home care companies. There's caregiving coaches, financial planners. Like the ecosystem is vast, and so we are talking to all of them about promoting Team CarePal. And, we found that there was a market within there, to business market. And so we launched a beta, and we gave our app to all these stakeholders, very diverse. And we said, if we could build you out a software, basically a dashboard that connected to a caregiver's app and built a beautiful connection, and they could subscribe to your organization, what would that look like? What would you
Yeah.
use it for? And it was the coolest thing ever, because it was so neat. They would use it in so many different ways, but they all wanted the same features. They wanted to be able to send surveys to measure family satisfaction. We have long-term companies wanting to use Team CarePal as an onboarding tool, because they're still using paper and pen. We have Caregivers Alberta, who've talked about putting their education and supports through there. Like it's absolutely incredible. So we are launching that, weeks away from launching that, and there's going to be so much going on with that particular program. The other one is, we've launched an affiliate program. So this was a really big one for us. So caregivers do not identify as caregivers. And when they don't identify as caregivers, they will never get the help that they receive. So we realize there's a ton amount of affiliates and promoters all across the nation. So we are launching an affiliate program program this week, so people can share Team CarePal and help generate revenue for themselves as well. And this is going to help, land the app into as many caregivers' hands as we possibly can. We have completed our health economic model, which is absolutely a work of art. Talk to Kyle Riley. He is a genius. And basically, this showcases the effect that we have not only on the caregiver's mental health or the health and well being, but on our healthcare system as a whole and employers. Like, if we can knock on the door to every employer right now and be like, you need to wake up, you are losing employees. They are, 1 in 4 Canadians right now are
Yeah.
having to leave work, lose hours, go down part time, or just leave work entirely. Productivity is dropped. Like, employers really need to start looking after their caregiver employees. And so we have a program for employees who want to offer Team CarePal to their company, and basically we can showcase the effectiveness that we will have on their company through our health economic model, just with some simple metrics on their company. So that's really exciting. Gosh, yeah, all kinds of things. And then our AI bot, which it's a game changer. It is a game changer. And then, on top of that, at the end of everything, we just completed our feasibility project through the Alberta Machine Learning Institute this summer.
Oh.
And so we are building out a machine model, well, many machine models based on their recommendation. We are going to predict caregiver burnout. That is the goal. So not only are we going to predict it, but we are going to then intervene ahead of time so that caregivers do not have to sit there and cry between vehicles like I had to.
I think that's amazing. Of all the things that you're putting together to help the caregivers, I mean, we don't talk about, I can't even imagine, the stress that COVID put on caregivers, across the board. It's I think it's even made the way we think differently about how we're going to, where we're going to put our parents, what we're going to do with our parents, how long we're going to, want to keep them at home because of some of the things that we saw. I'm sure a lot of that, those gaps will be fixed. You sure hope so. Right. And, when you send somebody to a care home or something like that, you expect them to be safe.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the stress is that, we just never want to see that happen again.
Absolutely not. There was a lot of things that came out of, the pandemic. There was, an increased awareness of the vulnerability of our seniors and the immune compromised and how we need to protect them. All of a sudden, we realized, the burden that caregivers carry. I mean, they had to take on additional tasks. They had limited access to healthcare. The increased financial strain of having to, not be working during that. I mean, and even more importantly, you talk about the isolation and the loneliness that caregivers and their loved ones felt. I mean, they were removed from their social networks. And then I think, overall is one thing, one of the biggest things is, the need for community and social connection through all of this. People saw the importance of social connections and that support. And so I think we now have an appreciation of, family and friends and, our local communities and how we all need to get active and support one another. So I hope that's, the biggest takeaway is that, when we get hit again by a pandemic, because it's going to happen, I mean, history repeats itself, that we definitely do things differently.
No, absolutely. And I haven't said this yet, but I can't believe it. Usually I pointed out a few times. If you want any more information, just go to their website, teamcarepal.com. You just click on the link in the comment section and it will take you directly there.
Yes, and I
So,
really want to point out, Jade, I'm sorry to interrupt, that
oh
Team
no, go.
CarePal understands the financial struggles that caregivers are facing with taking on more financial costs. So, a big pain point for us was trying to figure out the cost for caregivers. So, Team CarePal is truly a pay what you can model. We recommend, paying the $9.99 so that I can keep my lights on at the end of the day. But if you cannot afford that, you can go as $3.99 a month. And if you truly can't afford it, Team CarePal will sponsor you. You just have to fill out an application. So everybody has access to our application, and you can invite all your friends and family for free. So it's truly a one size fits for everyone. Nobody gets turned away.
Well, that is the definition of purpose before profit. right? And I love that, and that's probably why we bonded so quickly over coffee, right? The same purpose, the same motto, the same type of, making sure that everybody, gets the information and the help that they need, regardless of their financial situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't charge everyone for it. I can't. That's just not
Ah.
my make.
Well, that is awesome. Again, mycarepal.com. Just click on the link in the comments section to, find out more information. So the next question is, you've talked about some of the things that you're developed, but what about expansion wise, and what's next for you? Where do you want to be? Let's say in a year and in 5 years. And we obviously know that you'll sell your company for lower bowl seats, but that being said, what are your goals?
Yeah, no kidding. Make me an offer. Um, yeah, our global. I mean, we're talking, with Ireland, Australia. I mean, there's some really cool caregiving organizations. In some ways, they're a lot easier than Canada because they're not as segment. Like we have a lot of provincial caregiving associations and 211s, and so we're a little bit segment here in Canada. But you talk to places like Ireland, they have one national caregiving organization, and they just need the technology. And so we're talking about white labeling things for them, building out our AI navigation bot. I mean, it's rinse and repeat. Right now, we're collaborating with 211 Canada on their database. I mean, the United States has the 211, so it's rinse and repeat for them. Same with Ireland. So we're definitely going national. We're going global. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, my goal is just to hit as many caregivers as I possibly can.
No, that's awesome. That is all. I mean, I love global expansion, and it is amazing how you know especially I mean, this is a whole topic, but how even in our own country, how each health district is different and you have to do different things. Never mind and a lot of people that I've talked to that, in that health tech sector saying, sometimes it's just easier to do business elsewhere.
Well, and you're not wrong there, Jade. Like we've
Yeah.
had some really interesting partnerships that you're going to hear coming out of the woodworks right now, and we're talking like virtual nurses, coming on this scene that we're going to be partnering with, virtual, pharmacies, right? Like so, our caregivers will be able to talk to a pharmacist directly, So there's a lot of players in the game who are problem solving, across the globe, and we're yeah, a lot of people are just trying to make an impact and make some solutions happen. And Team CarePal is going to be right alongside them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I mean, again, that purpose before profit mantra that you have, that, nobody left behind, everybody gets the help they need regardless of their financial situation is just, I mean, I got goosebumps, and you can't really see them, but it just puts a big smile on my face. And kudos to you and your team for doing that. Like it's just priceless. I can't even say how important that is to our ecosystem. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's my team, they come from the caregiving world as well. They all had loved ones that, they cared for, and it's not just them, it's the whole ecosystem entirely. The people that I collaborate with, the ladies from like U of A, Bow Valley College, like across the nation, people are out there. Not only are they caring for their loved ones, but they're making massive impacts in this area, and they support us. So I couldn't have done it without them.
We are probably the most collaborative and supportive ecosystem in the world, and I stand by that every time I say it.
I 100%. There is something very special about what we have up here, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, me too. Me too. Well, I'm always sad when when our discussion, is coming to an end, and I know you've shared a lot of advice and on what, on the pros and cons of tech and entrepreneurship. But this question is, again, one that I thought would be done 300 episodes ago because I would have heard all the answers, but I keep it in there because I just love what I hear from all the inspirational entrepreneurs that are on telling it like it is. So, Cindy, if you had one piece of advice for a startup or entrepreneur, what would that be?
Coachable. Be coachable. Oh my goodness. And ask for help. Get involved. Without the mentors, without, the support of Edmonton Unlimited and their programs, the accelerators, the mentors across the board, I swear I collect mentors like, candy. I have so many of them. And like, I'm just talking to Alan Wade after this too. Like, I love them so much. And I just because I think I might have an answer, still just go and ask, like get the help. There's so many amazing people across there that have lived it. You know, people like you, Jade, like you guys, you're just a wealth of information. And just because I think I have it right, no, I gotta be coachable. And yeah, get involved in the problem. You know, don't focus solely on just the solution. Like I'm talking get involved, like make a difference, make an impact, join the, round table discussions, get out there, talk to other entrepreneurs, just be active.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. Right. I mean, yeah, and I mean, one of the phrases that we use is asking for help is not a sign of weakness, and we talk about that all the time, right? Even the shirt I'm wearing today, men's league, right? Like some of us are a little stubborn, we'll call it, as men, and we don't want to reach out and ask for help or directions sometimes. But technology solved that problem. But again, it's something that it is so important, and there are lots of people out there that will be able to help you.
Yeah, and they're so willing. Again, we have this very unique ecosystem up here, Jade. Everybody I ask for help, like they're like, "Oh, right now, like get on the phone. Like, what do you need? Like, I got you."
Yeah.
So much so that it builds like this incredible, yeah, like as an ecosystem that I find myself giving back because of it, because of the value that I have received. I give back. So even entrepreneurs that are at that really early stage, building out their lean canvases and just want to talk it out. I'm like, let's go for coffee. Let's go. Like I'm here for you. So I think it's that circle, and it's I don't know what it is, if it's Alberta or Canada, but it's amazing.
Well, we call it the Prairie Way. that's that's just the way we were raised, the way we were built, and I hope as we grow as an ecosystem, whether it be entrepreneurs, the government, investors, I don't care. I hope it never changes. I just that's
100%.
me, my personal opinion on it.
100%. I love that.
Well, again, Cindy, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and for what you do, giving back with CarePal. Anybody wants more information, go to the website teamcarepal.com. Just click on the link in the comments section. The Thriving Minds, Empowering Innovators will be more information will be coming out here in the next week or so. Again, working on mental wellness for entrepreneurs, and we talk a lot about it here, right? You hear there's lots of crying, there's lots of struggles, there's lots of everything that goes on, and this course with Collectively Tangled is going to be very beneficial for many entrepreneurs in Alberta. So keep an eye open for it. Cindy, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your story, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Jade. You as well.